Power Rangers Battle for the Grid is a game that, excuse me, is out here, but many people probably don't believe, or many people do believe from the Reddit thread that I saw, that it doesn't get the shine that it so rightfully deserves. Now, there was one main thing that I saw people were saying that could be an issue for this is that it's not available in many different regions. I think someone said there's parts of China, I think, or I'll just be safe and say Asia, that the game is not for sale in. So, a lot of people can't play it. So give it off to you guys. Do you feel like Battle for the Grid is a game that doesn't get the respect it deserves? Do you feel like it doesn't get the shine it deserves, or do you feel like it's a reason for that? So starting with you, Mr. Gaming.
I think my answer probably be somewhere in the middle. I say yes and no. Because the game is grown. Like, it's like the fact that it's on this now. We just got the trailer for the season 4, the new DLC characters, and the fact that this game kind of started off as like more of an indie project, something like a side game. The fact that it's like 4 seasons and it's being supported, people are like actively playing the game. It's definitely garnering some attention. It's like they've updated the visuals, they've updated the sound, they've done like a whole overhaul to the game. And the gameplay's always been there. That's the one thing about the game. Like I played it for a good bit. I think around season 1 or 2. Like I was actually playing the game heavily, like trying to like get to the top of the leaderboards on PS4. Like I was like the game was it was solid. I don't know what took me away from it. I'm not sure what game came out at the time that took me away from it. But it's definitely been a game that I'm like, you know what, I want to get back into this because it was actually a fun game and it actually really, to me, it filled that Marvel void more than Dragon Ball did. I actually enjoyed that game a lot more than Marvel. But it suffers from one of those things where some people look at it as like it's more of a budget title. So it's like, I'm not going to waste my time playing that. I'll just play Dragon Ball, something that's more of a AAA, budget. And that's one of the bigger problems for a lot of games that don't get attention. It's just like, there's so many other good games out here. One in particular, I'm going to shout out one of my favorite fighting games right now, Punch Planet. That game, I started playing it. I was like, yo, this is like, why is there not a whole like huge community for this? This game was one of the best fighting games I've ever played. Like the design, the sound, the characters are dope, and it's just like it's just one of those things where a game that's more budget, people just don't flock to it unless it somehow gets some type of retweet or some type of exposure. Then people like finally notice that like this game is actually good. But yeah, I think that Power Rangers now is kind of getting attention, but I still think it has a ways to go. Hopefully, it like getting this DLC and this like support will help with that. But it's a good game. It's a really good game. It's a solid fighting game. And to me, one of the games I always wanted was a good Power Rangers fighting game. Ninja Turtles fighting game. I want all of those. Hopefully, at some point that happens. Maybe even like add some guest characters to the game. But yeah, I just think the fact that it's a budget title is a reason why it doesn't quite garner the attention. But I think hopefully with like the Power Ranger League and stuff, like that kind of gives it more exposure to continue, like say, for people can be like, hey, this is a good game, so let me hop in and try this. At least give it a chance, Plus, it's cheap too. It's not like you're paying $60 for it, really. Like if you just want to play the base game, it's about like what, $20 or so. It's not like you coming out of pocket spending 60, then you got to spend more for the DLC. So I like it. I think it's getting some respect, but I think it still has a way to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of agree about that. I think like my only issue that I've ever had with Battle for the Grid was like I'm not 100% a fan of like touch of death combos like that. I don't know. There's something about watching touch of death combos. I'm a very empathetic person, so I can only imagine. I can feel how the person. I'm just like, man, I know. I know, man. Like you're sitting there, you watch it. It's like a movie. It's like a movie show. Like you're just sitting there watching your health just drain out. Man.
That sounds so familiar.
Oh, yo, real quick, can anybody guess where that's from? Real quick.
Movie.
Come on, you know this.
I have no clue.
Oh man, that sounds so familiar. When you say it, I'm gonna go, oh, I know.
Did that do Drake?
The Brave Little Toaster.
Wow. What a reference. Anyway, continue. I knew it was just gonna bug me if I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, man. It's so yeah, man. I mean, but generally speaking, the game, it's a cool game. And the thing about it is, yeah, I feel like it definitely has, barring the fact that I'm not really a huge fan of touch of death combos. It's a cool game. It's a cool game to watch in some respects, because you're kind of wondering who's going to blink first, you know, who's going to make the mistake that leads to their character getting destroyed. You know what I mean? And like, I constantly live, like, because I commentated a Battle for the Grid tournament for the first time a couple months ago, and I was completely new to Battle for the Grid at that point. And it's just like, wow, man, like every once in a while, you cannot whiff. Do not whiff, man. You are shaking hands with danger. You are shaking, you know, there's a shake hands with danger. Like every time you make a whiff, like I'm telling you, bro, if you whiff a move, that's it. Go. I used to have 3 characters, now 2 character Joe. You like, you know what I mean? Like you're shaking hands with danger if you whiff a move in that game, man. I'm telling you, you will, if they got meter and you whiff a move, you will die. And like everybody will be like, I mean, that's the game, man. So one of the things about the game is that like Devin was saying, is that the game is very inexpensive. In addition to that, in addition to it being inexpensive, if you have Game Pass, if you have an Xbox Game Pass, it is on Game Pass. So you can actually play, if you've already paying for Game Pass, technically you already own the game. So like, if like there are people out there that are watching this that have Game Pass, you can take advantage of the game take advantage of playing the game without having to take any risk, and you can test it out and find out what characters you like. And if you're interested in the game, you know, I think like that's actually a good way to go. But yeah, man, I think accessibility in like other countries, yeah, that probably could be a hurdle. But at the same time, you know, people not knowing whether or not they have accessibility to the game in the first place, right? Like if you don't know that you can just like, if you're playing on Xbox, you can just go and download the game. Not only that, but remember that I think the game is cross-platform. You know, it's like, it's not like a game that's restricted by, oh, which console do you have? Oh, I got it on PlayStation 4. Oh God, well, I got it on Xbox One. Oh no, we can't play the game together. You know, that same sorry, tired, like thing that we got to do right now. Like they've completely taken that out of the equation. So, you know, like if you got it, man. So play the game. I think like the game definitely deserves a chance. And, like you get like the game deserves a chance, and you deserve a chance to get to like it. So give yourself the chance to like it, I would say.
Power Rangers is an interesting case because it feels like the type of game where it has done so much right, but at the same time, it still doesn't get maybe quite the attention that it deserves, just because, for one, when it comes to fighting games, this is where the discussion of like characters and roster really matters, or like even like the discussion of IP, like what your fighting game is focused on. All of us know that Fighters blew up because, well, it's centered around Dragon Ball Z, one of the biggest anime in the world. So that was no doubt going to blow up, and like millions of people were going to buy that game. With Power Rangers, it's a big IP, don't get me wrong, but it's not to the level of something like DBZ or a Street Fighter or even like a Tekken. And not to mention, like you all talked about with whole it being unavailable in other countries. For us, it's called Power Rangers. In other parts of the world, it's Super Sentai or whatever else they call it, etc. And I know like the rights, to my understanding, the rights are held by a different company, I think, in Japan. Like over here in America, it's held by Hasbro. I don't know who holds it in Japan, or if it's just Hasbro overall that holds the rights to it. But anyway, yeah, Power Rangers, when it came out, it was just it looked cool, but like the premise of it was cool just because it was being done pretty much by members of the FGC. Like I think people like Clockwork and other people tested the game or even worked on it. And so it definitely has a Marvel background to it. Like, and it's inspired by Marvel. You can clearly see that, which is really cool. But at the same time, it's kind of like Marvel Infinite, where it has like a look to it, like a low budget look to it that some people may just not be into. And for me, that's part of the reason why I'm not the biggest fan of the game, is just that it's a budget game, no doubt. I mean, it's kind of like Nicktoons. You could tell the game was made on budget. It is what it is. But nowadays, as we're getting more and more used to like certain fighting games having a certain level of polish to them. When you see something like Power Rangers and it looks like something that came straight off the PS3, you're like, well, I don't think I want to invest much into that. And I'm not discrediting the game at all, because I do think Power Rangers Battle for the Grid is a really good game. It's done a lot more than a lot of the other mainstream fighting games have done. Like, it has crossplay across all platforms, like Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Not many fighting games can say they do that. The online is great. It has functioning rollback. It has good lobbies. It has arcade and everything. So it has all the features you could ask for from a fighting game. But as to why it isn't more popular than what it is, I think it's just that some people just maybe just don't like Power Rangers like that. I know for me, I like Power Rangers growing up, but now that I'm an adult, it's like I like Power Rangers and I respect it, but the characters aren't really for me, especially, they have so many generations of Power Rangers, which are reflected in the game. They have Power Rangers from different shows and everything, which that's really cool. But, some people might just not be into the Power Rangers IP like that anymore. And I'm not like trying to criticize anyone who's into that, because I have friends who are into like Sentai and stuff like that, and it's cool. But some people might just not be into the IP of Power Rangers like that enough to invest in the game. So I don't know. It's kind of like Them's Fighting Herds. Them's Fighting Herds is a great game. It looks good too. It's not like Power Rangers where it looks cheap at all. And then Skullgirls, you could say the same thing about that as well. Is that those games, they are fully fleshed out, full featured games that do deserve more respect from the FGC. But sometimes when it comes down to like art style, character choice, IP, some things, some properties people vibe with and others they don't. So I don't know. I don't think there's really a complete, like a definitive answer as to why Power Rangers isn't more successful in the FGC. I think it's just a variety of factors, and maybe some people just don't want to pick it up because they don't like Power Rangers as much, or they're turned off by the graphics, or they just have something else that they're focused on. So I don't know. For me personally, I play the game. It's cool, but I'm just not into the roster like that. So that's why I don't see myself diving more into it. I appreciate its existence, and I like the fact that people are playing it, and I think they should continue to play it, especially since we got this new season. But I don't know. It's just not quite for me.